Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What is up? What is up? What is up? This is Matt Verzal. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on Husker Hangover. After Nebraska's probably should have won that game, lost to Ohio State. Completely different, complete 180 from what we saw the week before against Indiana. The 56-7 drubbing at the hands of the Hoosiers, who also won last week, but that doesn't matter. We're not playing them this week. Tons going on in that game for Nebraska. Kind of the team that I think everybody thought that we would have this season at Nebraska. Kind of a grinded out, played tough, team that's the expectation, right? Like, I thought that was how I would that Nebraska would play every week. We wouldn't have to have weeks like last week where it's like, oh man, what happened? What's going on? How do we get here? Are we really not that good? Going out on the road where Nebraska has always traditionally struggled and playing well, and I don't think it was playing even out over their skis. Like, that was kind of an expectation. You do some things that are great in that game, and then you do some things that just are head scratchers in that game. But Nebraska, I think, if we get that version of that team every week, and we will be in good shape the rest of the way out. I think everyone we're playing is kind of rounding into form, as they should at this point in time in the year. So excited to see what Nebraska can do with this. Excited to see how this all kind of shakes out with the rest of the season for our beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nothing flashy in the game. One of the things that I talked about last week was the quarterback having to be a viable option running the ball. And so, sorry, this blurry background is messing with my brain because my ear disappears if I go that way. The quarterback has to be a viable entity. They have to be an option. They have to be somebody that is a threat. And I thought Raiola ran the ball at times when he needed to, and I thought he did just a fine job with that. I didn't have any issues with the way he ran it. I think he got down when he needed to get down. He didn't when he didn't, and it was cool to see. Another emphasis that I had in the game was just the play calling. I thought at times in previous games we're kind of trying to understand what's going on with the play calling. The start of the second half, if we can call games like that, if whomever is calling plays calls the plays that way, then we won't have many issues going into a lot of games or playing in a lot of games, just because that you saw what I've hoped for a long time, which is just rhythm in the game. It's just a rhythmic setup to the game. It's just how games should flow. Now, there were lapses back into head scratching plays and calls and things like that. I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen as we kind of try to evolve into what Nebraska's play caller is and what that looks like here the rest of the way going out. If you can notice, I'm guessing the sound is probably a little bit better. I have moved back out into Nebraska. Played a little old school in that game, so I went back a little old school. I moved back out into the pizza boxes at Pisons, but that's why I blurred out the background, because I don't think you want to look at the dish rack and the other point of sale system that I have behind me. The comments are open. Johnny was raring to go this morning. Walter is a little bit lighter. He dropped a couple pounds off at the bank, and he's back at it this morning. But the fellows have the chat going. Anything that you noticed or want to talk about, just hit it in the chat. Statistic wise, it wasn't a pretty game for Nebraska, but it kept me in one of the things that I love, which was just the line from Rounders. You just hang around and you hang around and you hang around, and you do, man. You have the world at it, man. You have the world at your feet, and you can shock everybody by going into Columbus and picking up a win. But unfortunately for Nebraska, that was not it. Defensively, I thought Coach White's squad really stepped up this week. Changed back to a lot of things that they're just good at. They they got back to playing fundamentally sound in everything, and they really just played their ass off. I mean, now are there glaring mistakes in it? Yes, and those are still selfish mistakes. Two, well, one for sure. One for sure touchdown is just you chose not to do what you're supposed to do. You're looking in the backfield. You can insert the player's name. I think we all know who it happened to, but just got a little greedy and abandoned what you should be doing, which is watching your keys then to your other key one to key two, and you then peek in the backfield, let a receiver get behind you, wide open touchdown, and kind of how it goes. But effort wise, tackling wise, playing some different guys in there. A guy that I really think is going to be a good player for Nebraska down the road, the Judy, or not really down the road, but very soon, is the Judy kid, number 16. I think that's a guy that you saw. I mean, he made a huge couple plays on crucial situations in the game. There are things that the defense can tighten up too. I think down and distance is a big one. When you have to know, hey, it's 3rd and 3, they're lined up, kind of spreading everybody out. The box we're going to keep pretty full. You're in man coverage. It's 3rd and 3. We can't play off at 6-7 yards and leave that to be taken advantage of and really have just an easy pitch and catch for first down. Do you fear some of the receivers for Ohio State? I know they had a couple. Tate had 4 catches for 102. Smith had 3 for 70. G. Scott had 2 for 20, and then Emeka Ibuka was 3 for 20. So, they have weapons, and I think they have the best wide receiver coach in the country. I really do, in Brian Hartline. But now you start to really get back to things and fine tune your coverage and your defense and those kind of things. And now you become a little bit different. You become a guy or you become a team that is just better. You kind of have that swag. I think sometimes the defensive setup misses swag. Had a huge interception and a great return. Unfortunately, the offense wasn't able to capitalize on it in the end, but it's the way it goes. I had a different play that I would have called in that situation, especially on the 4th down, but we can discuss that in a little bit. Special teams overall, a lot of the same. I think it was good to see Hull. Basically, just I've worked with kickers, which sounds odd, but I've worked with the kickers on anywhere that I've coached for quite a long time. My advice to kickers is not groundbreaking. It's very simple. It's I know you can do it. You can do it. Go kick the fucking ball. And you'd be amazed how far just that singular statement goes. They will just pump the football. Pressure can't exist to you. You can't think about it in a pressure situation. I can't worry about the snap. I can't worry about the rush. My job is to kick that thing as hard as I can. It's going to go through the upright. So props to that young man for what he did in that situation, and to see them super excited about it was very cool. The rest of the special teams, it is what it is. It was, I don't think it cost you anything, but it's still a work in progress and still has a lot of things to do. For me, just anybody, anywhere, numbers over 60 and up, unless it's some kind of linebacker, 60 and up numbers should not be on punt teams. They just shouldn't. The only exceptions are defensive end, that 60 to 80 range, a defensive end that wears, 78, whatever, they can be on that, but no more big numbers on the punt teams. I don't need linemen as personal protectors. I think you're down at a disadvantage when you're in coverage. Then, the punter probably isn't going to help you very much if you got 3 big lineman-ish guys in front of them. We know our strengths. That's not our strength. There's 4 more down. So now you're tackling 7 on 10 blocking, 11 total for them. I don't like those odds. I would never. I personally don't put myself in those positions anytime that I've coached special teams. The fewer bigs I can have on punt team, the better off I'm going to be. That's just how I view it, how I've always viewed it, because athletically, it's not their skill set. Uh, okay. So that's kind of I won't bitch about the officials because I think it is what it is. I thought the announcers actually did a fantastic job of discussing it. You've got national media now drawing light to it. I think the only way that special teams and that changes for college football is to have a governing body that holds guys probably more responsible. I don't fully know the process. I know the high school process, but I don't know the college process. There has to be an evaluation, or it has to be something like the Big Ten has to look at and evaluate and say, hey, we have a good product. Like we have probably the second best product in the country, but yet we're allowing this outside bullshit to affect how people are viewing our games, affect how people are seeing things, and in those in those scenarios. And so whatever you can do to eliminate that has to happen. It just has to happen. To continue just on recap, the defensive line, I thought, like I said, played well. Linebackers played as good as I think they can. Cleaning up some things in the secondary would be something that I would focus on. And those that thought I can't remember the new defensive back coach's name at the current moment, but he's a pro guy. And so we got to get pro guy results out of that. So I hope those are some things that they look at and they get fixed up. And I think they will at the time. Chat's open. Just hit it up. I'm sure Johnny is in the mindset of many. Okay. So play calling was just today too. We'll probably go about hour and change. You'll see the staff come in because I am back out instead of back in my old office. I was going to be in my new office, but there was something wrong with the internet in the new office. So we are still, even me personally, like much of life is all just a work in progress. We'll hopefully be over there next week. And then we won't be interrupted by anybody. Johnny says, Satterfield just called another screen pass. We'll have no blocking. Why is this a-hole still making $1.4 million a year? Fire him today and send a message. Send the teenage wide receiver with wide receiver coach, not wide receiver player, with him. Man, play callers, when you study and you watch film and you're looking through everything and you're like, man, this is going to work. This is it. I know it's going to happen. I'm going to run this because it's everything I see with my eyes and knowing my guys, knowing their guys, this is going to work. It's going to go great. And then it doesn't. And there is a part of most OCs that will go back to that. They will say, oh man, it was just a fluke. The second time it happens, like, oh yeah, something was off there. We're going to try it again. The stubbornness of it, I appreciate because I am stubborn myself. The continuation of it and putting your team at a disadvantage is something I do not appreciate. It was not going to work. If you're getting whooped blocking at the wide receiver level 1v1, you just are. There's no whatever drills are being worked aren't working. You have to, if you want that to be a staple of your offense, then your guys, both defensively and offensively, have to live drill that. They have to live 1v1, good v good, go at it until either one, the defense wins and you just scrap that saying, hey, we don't have the guys to do this, or two, your receivers get so good at it that they can block your DBs every day, play after play. And now you can probably rely on a little bit better than you should at the current time, just because right now it is not. It should not be something they focus on unless you want to try to jump it and throw, if we see it again next week, I would throw the complementary play to it right away. I would pump fake any kind of flare screen, which is what I call them. And then I would chuck that thing down the field, because I think you have a better chance at it because safety comes flying on it. Screen game just to running backs was equally as suspect to me, Ohio State had those diagnosed very well, very, very well. There were times where they were waiting to hit the running back because the lineman that attempted to get downfield had not gotten to any responsibility and had not engaged in blocks. So right now, the screen game for Nebraska isn't something that I would rely heavily on, unless you choose to spend an inordinate amount of time on that, where you have full sessions, 15, 20-minute sessions of practice where that's all you work on, get timing better on it, to get blocking better on it, to get result better on it. So that I if it were me, I would put the screen game away a little bit. The sad thing that I didn't think in the play call, I thought there was some more opportunity. We like deep ball to the sideline, which I understand. Throw it to a spot, run under it, get it, all those great things that happen. But middle of the field is where I think probably could take more advantage. Great to see Fedoni involved in the offense. I thought he made some crucial catches at some crucial times. Another cool thing that I took away from the game was just the evolution of our young quarterback, Dylan Raiola, who right now he's played quite a few games in college. So some of these lessons, maybe most thought would be learned earlier. But there's always going to be, and you could kind of see how Ohio State was viewing it. They were perfectly content playing base defense, not sending a whole bunch of pressure early in series, meaning on first and second down. When they got to 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 6, where they knew Nebraska, the odds of Nebraska probably running it weren't very good, then they always brought one more than Nebraska could handle in protection. And that's good defense. You don't want a quarterback sitting back there, and I don't care who you are, what you have. Not a lot of defensive backs can cover 7-8 seconds. It's just not in their skill set. It's just not what they want to do. But you get that down to 2 or 3, 4 at the longest seconds. Now you're doing all right, because you can jam, you can get all those things done. There's no scramble drill to it. But the slant later in the game that got called down at the 1-inch line, whatever. But you saw him adjust. The series before, they sent 6. We had 5 to block. No, sorry, they sent 7. We had 6 to block. And the hot receiver, which there was a hot receiver in every play design, especially in the passing plays. When everyone is reading a defense, they have to read it the same. You're going to have guys that are up in the line of scrimmage, either faking like they're going to blitz or actually blitzing. Then there's that one hot receiver. That hot receiver's got to get to a point. It may not be to first down yardage, but you get to a point where the quarterback knows, as soon as this guy declares himself as rushing me, I am getting rid of this in 1 second. And now you have to go out and you have to earn the rest of the yards, because you're a scholarship player at a Division I Power 5 school. So I understand that it didn't happen on that series of the game, but the second series we hit the slant. It was perfect. It was the way it should look. The quarterback retreats a little bit further than normal, because it is pressure. You do have to give it a little bit more time. Great throw, great catch. Need down at the 1-inch line, absolutely asinine. Just give the kid the touchdown. I mean, it's, of all the things that you were bad at in that game, to continually have to review shit like that, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Larry said, good morning. I think Sat was still in the head after halftime. So someone called the first series. Damn it, I should have read that one first. Someone called the first series the second half. It was different. It was the first time of the season where I thought it was rhythmic, and there was no fear of a 1 to 2 yard play. There was commitment to the run, and almost a light bulb went on for a lot of the guys playing offense, to the aspect of, hey, we can do this. We want to say we want to have a swaggy team, and we have bravado, and we have all this stuff. There is still doubt in their minds. And I said over and over again, the mind is a crazy, crazy powerful thing. The mind is just crazy, crazy powerful. If you believe it, you can do it. I'm not going to say if you can believe it, you can achieve it. But the more that you get in that rhythm and you say, hey, this coach trusts me, this coach believes in what I in what I can do. I mean, he gave them the opportunity. Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. You have to give them the chance to prove it. You have to give them the chance to say, "Hey, I can do this. I can get after this. I can show you." We're playing the number 4 team in the country. Great defensive setup, great defensive line, great linebackers, great cover guys. We can go. We really can. And so to see that go, now as we're watching it here, Nebraska got in a couple scenarios in the second half where the run was going great, everything was looking good, and then I looked at a couple of kids working, and I was like, "He's throwing it here. Don't expect this to continue on to slowly matriculate the ball down the field," and he did, and it just those offensive coordinators, man, they just gotta show you. They gotta show you all the plays they have and look at this design and blah 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 blah. I do have a kid that works for me here, and it kind of ties into a point that where did Harry's go? That Harry Husker says should have run the QB more late. They were coming hard, could have ran right by them. Very true. The one after the Hartzog interception, where you're at the 7, I believe you have 4 downs to get 7 yards. I love bringing in Ty Robinson into the backfield. When you bring linemen in, defenses know, hey, the odds of them going anywhere but where that guy lined up on, me personally, I would have taken it a step further. I would have pulled out, I think they had a tight end ahead of Robinson in that scenario. So it was 2 fullback-ish guys and then an eye back behind him. Dowdell tried to jump. He got tackled from the outside. Didn't work. Got stopped. I would bring Huntmacher in as well. I would put them side by side about 4 yards back in the backfield. I would snap the football. I would turn around, and I would hold that thing out, Peyton Manning-esque, for everyone to see. And I would fake that handoff, and I would bootleg right around the corner. I think the quarterback number 1 is going to be by himself because the end man on Ohio State's defensive line of scrimmage was just crashing, trying to grab an ankle before a jump because they are fast. They're saying, I can get to you before you can get jumped. It's you're fast. So here's my bailout in that. I ball fake that. I roll. Tell the quarterback, number 1 is run. Number 1 is you sprint to the corner as fast as you can. My number 2 option on that is one of my tight ends or one of my end man line of scrimmages that I have left, which is a formation that it allowed as such. You are going to go contact the defensive lineman, and then you are going to just go to the end line of the end zone. And that way, if a safety sees the quarterback ball fake and he takes off toward the quarterback, then I can just dump that thing over the top and I have a stand in the end zone touchdown, because everybody on that defense is going to commit to the 2 big guys in the backfield, thinking that you're going to run the ball and try to just bully that thing, bulldoze it into the end zone. The way or the reason that Ohio State was able to stop it, low man wins, that they got lower. They were more aggressive. They moved their feet better. They had the line of scrimmage displaced back about a yard. So just a wrinkle that I would throw in just for down the road. Might provide you a value later, might not. But that's something that I would look at. Lee says, last night's call-in shows, we're still calling for Sats head. Out of line for this game, yes. Screen passes aren't working because some reason Banks can't block. Yeah, the perimeter blocking is just, it's not good. It's not good. Lee also says, but looks to me like those are many times the hot on pressure shows. It said you get pet plays. real good play callers, when the pet play or what you want to run isn't working, as soon as you get something that hits, I mean, they were finding success. They were finding holes running the ball. There was movement. There was things downfield that were happening. Every now and then I think Raiola read it great, and then he ran it. And he was the second. We'll look real quick here. He was the second leading rusher. He had 9 carries for 31 yards, not blowing anybody away. In a ball game, you have 31, 32, 33. You got 33 rushing attempts total in a football game. For Nebraska, you had 32 pass attempts. You're about at a 50-50 split. Oh, sorry, this was 33-33. Somebody else tried to pass. So, I mean, as far as balance goes, you're 50-50. As far as timing goes in the game, I thought some of the throwing was ill-advised, especially when your linemen really, like, probably one of the better games as a group that they've played. They were bad ones, but you're playing Ohio State. They're trying to beat you too. And then there were really good phases of it. And you could, if you watch the game, when they started to control some things on the line of scrimmage, and those 2-yard gains in the first quarter were becoming 4-yard gain, 5-yard gain, 6-yard gain in the second half, those guys were excited and they were hyped and they were feeling it, and they couldn't get back fast enough to get another one called. And then, it was chuck it and see what happens. So getting your big dudes excited and wanting to be the reason for the win, keeping them in it. And this is full bias from an offensive lineman. Full bias the whole day, but they can be the identity of your team. Like they can lead you through that. They can give you, babe, this is what we are. We are a physical team. We will see too if there was, for those of you that participate in the non-traditional retirement accounts, I think all but one, and I'm not even so sure if it's one, but all but one of Nebraska's opponents the week after playing Nebraska for sure did not cover, and many lost the next game. So that's a sneaky one that people don't pay attention to. Indiana might have. I didn't know the Indiana spread this week. We had some stuff going on, so I didn't get to check their line. But that's a thing in the NFL. Bet against somebody the week after they play Detroit, because they're beat to shit. They're beat up. That's the game. Like, that's what I love more than anything. Is just physically, like, don't care who it is. We're going out. We're gonna throw hands. We're gonna bang. We're gonna see this. For those that saw Rule's presser afterward, the Indiana presser, he was. I mean, I very rarely feel bad for a guy making $8 million a year, but I felt bad for him because he had no clue. He had no idea what had just happened. He just palms up. Joel McAvick's like, I don't know what the hell just happened. But I tell you this, it ain't gonna happen again. So he has his presser this week, and he says, this is the real us. Last week was an anomaly. This is how we should play. But he spoke on something that I've spoke on. He mentioned Temple and he mentioned Baylor, and he said the statement, hey, once we figure out how to get rid of the here we go again, that's when you know you're going to be different. And hey, hand up, I did not have much faith, belief in anything going into that Ohio State game. I didn't. I was like, man, this bad boy could get ugly fast. But then they just hung around. They hung around. They played hard. They hung around. They kept giving themselves opportunities. And he saw it and he knew, because in the past, we as fans, we all wait for the shooter drop. I mean, we were all very skeptical of a 5-1 team. Then that went to Indiana and got whooped. Now, okay, we're 5-2. Now we got a lot of questions. Oh my God, we got Ohio State next. We're in it. We got a problem. Didn't win the game. And there's some comments on moral victories. It's not a moral victory. There's no. That's been pretty good. Nobody's really mentioned that, because there's no moral victories. You win or you learn. That's it. We learned a lot about what Nebraska should be, and now this is our standard, right? This is what we should expect when they play UCLA next week. This is what it should look like for us going forward. Now, if you go out and you play that way in your last games, there isn't one of them you can't win. But the onus is on you. You have to be the one to do it. You have to be the one to play that way. And you have to be the one that realizes there's very few in the country. There's very few in the Big Ten that can just run away from you, that will just demolish you if you play that way. If you play sound fundamental football, you lose some of the selfishness of it. Another selfish one in the game. Anytime a guy is the end man on the line of scrimmage on a defense, and it pisses me off to no end, because White has the correct play called for the Nebraska defense to succeed. Okay. He's even got it called so well that the play they call is the ideal play for the defense that he has called. So everything from a structural standpoint is perfect. As far as I know football, and maybe it's wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, because I called a couple college defensive coordinators and I just asked them. But if I'm the end man, there was a player that rolled down, he's going to blitz from wide, meaning if he's going to take the widest gap, he then becomes any kind of outside play responsibility. All right. Because if I'm a secondary player, I'm going to blitz outside wide. There's no need for me and you to be in the same gap. So now you can go inside. That way, if the ball does get handed off inside, then you're going to make the inside play. I'm going to make the outside play. Will Howard, just on a basic zone read, looked at it. Our blitzer, who should, again, maintain the widest guy, the deepest shoulder of the deepest back, went inside where he should not. Will Howard pulled the ball. Around the corner he went. I think it was a double-digit 10 to 15-yard gain. But it's a killer. Like it's a killer play because you chose not to do what you were supposed to do. Selfish plays and defensive schemes will never win. They will never win. They will never succeed. In that instance, if you make that play, now you have them back on your heels. Like now you have them like, okay, they're locked in. Like they got something on us. All you gotta do is create just a little bit of doubt in the opponents. A little bit of doubt. That's it. But to do that, you gotta do your shot. You gotta do what you're supposed to do. Johnny says 4 games left. Can we finally see Caleb get on the field and take 2 or 3 to the house? Be interesting. That's a good question. To get to see some of these younger guys as you're on the floor, because now in college football, for those that I think everybody knows, but for some that don't know, you can get 4 games in and you still maintain your red shirt. So it'd be interesting to see how that handles. That'll be cool. Actually, thanks for bringing that up. I kind of forgot about that, Johnny. But yeah, let's see some young guys. You know, you see them kind of tooling the offensive line. You'll see Mazuka play some left tackle, getting Gatula out of the game. You know, I'd love to see Bricks in the game, see what he's got. I doubt you're going to see Sledge just because most coaches will not switch a center out. There's just continuity unless the center's hurt. But yeah, definitely something to watch for the UCLA game, and seeing some of the young guys. I think it'd be great. Thank you, Mikey. Says the video shot looks better. Appreciate it. Walter says I'm pulling my $18.90 monthly donation if that moron sat is the OC next season. Okay. I think that is fair. I think Walter's being very fair. The ones that are calling for the termination may or may not happen. I don't know. But it ain't happening right now. It ain't happening. And I highly doubt they're going to tell you anything that they're doing, anything that they want to do. They could change play callers. Maybe Sat did get stuck in the John at the beginning of the second half. But nothing's going to happen this year. So we just got to deal with it. We got to suck it up, Buttercup, and figure it out. Brian, you are correct. Satterfield does have a little bit of tin cup in him. Romeo. Ball. Ken says verse number 4 is the worst blocker in the history of the blocker. It's definitely something the coach and me will not agree with you, but it's definitely something he needs to work on. Work a lot on. Our screen game is defended as nicely as me protecting a plate at Paisan's wings. That's Maddie, you those wings don't have a chance. Neither do the Blue Moons. Okay, so my next thought or my next direction kind of on how things could go for Nebraska. Listen, when we first started the season, right, I told you, hey, I think this team has the possibility to get to a bowl game. We got to 5 relatively easy. Now we're 5-3. 7 still there, which is where I'm at with it. I think 7 is the right number. 8 is definitely not out of the realm of it. But again, that goal. So how do you look at that? So my question for you guys, because we saw the game, right? We know everything that could have went better. You know, yesterday was another game where 15 missed another wide open receiver. He needs to stop that. We know we have a good quarterback. Okay, we know we have a QB of the next 2 years. All right, so things that I think that they are fair. They are fair. Is to hopefully Coach Thomas is working on this. Not everyone is a finesse, right? He throws a good football, but when you're playing now at this level, there's just misses you can't have. There were 2 misses in the game. There's going to be misses. It just is what it is. We have to get those limited down to. It was a miss because of good defense, or it was we can't have the overthrow. There's 2 of those throws, and I think you guys all know what they are, but they just had too much air on them. There was a little like skinny post to Barney that just Barney had shaken loose in the corner of the end zone. It's just a little zip on it. It's just a little less arc. Put it on him. The defensive back had fallen down. So those, there's no intent in it, but it can't be missed. Like those throws that honestly right now, I think it's fair to say you cannot miss those. Because just the opportunity in a game like that, those are ones that just we have to. So that evolution process or that, now you did see him sling a couple, and I really liked it. Like I really liked it a lot. But those we just don't have. We don't have the luxury of those not being completions, just because of where we are right now. This is probably one of my big asks. Is Walter asks, where has Carter Nelson been? He's one. If we really do get to the point where we are kind of functioning on all cylinders, and we do have guys that are struggling blocking on the perimeter, I have no issue taking a guy like Carter Nelson and putting him out on the outside. And either one, throwing it to him, or number 2, put the big body out in front and then let it block. You know, if we're getting thrown around on the perimeter blocking, which those are just honestly, That's competitive as hard as you can go. Repetition drills the whole time. That's all. That's the only way you can get better at that is just repeat, 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 pound it, pound it, pound it. You have to. So I would love to see. I would love to see that happen because I think he's an asset that you can get on the field and you can use. You know, imagine situations or formations with both he and Fedoni on the field at the same time. Now you got two big tall dudes. You can throw 4 and 12 or 4 and Nair and Banks out there too. Now you have a big tall set of receivers. You got short DBs, and now you can take advantage of that. So the more that they use some of these young guys, it'll be good to see. John says there are a lot of players that will wash out just due to eligibility after this year. Hope that they haven't left too much of their loser mentality with the young guys. That's a fair, like that's a statement to break the habit of losing is hard. To break that habit is there's no magic sauce to it. And I know the Indiana folks, but well, Indiana didn't do it. They blah 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 blah. I get it. They were losing just as much as Nebraska. When you bring in a bunch of other people that kind of have that mindset or know that if you trust the process, it will work. So washing that out of the program is something that needs to happen. It just has to. How they do that, I don't know. I have ideas how I would do it. Like the teams they divided into for the offseason, those would be my teams for the whole year. And I would make them compete in everything. Grade point average, who makes the best meal, whatever, who dresses the best, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's something that needs to be washed out of the game. Blast from the past for those of you that have been with us for a long time. Twitty, the original producer of Husker Hangover, his Northwestern team beat Dakota Wesleyan yesterday, go 6-1. They have a big one against Morningside at next Saturday. Twitty's still out in Utah, I believe. Walter says they must break the losing streak to Wisconsin. Agree with that. That's the cool thing about what Nebraska has remaining. I think somebody had let me know here Nebraska opens as 9.5. Yeah, Walter, 9.5 point favorite over UCLA. UCLA is rounding into form. Some of the stuff that they were battling early in the year is now kind of started to leave them. So that's for UCLA fans. That's good. It will be a mini reunion. And there will be a tight end for UCLA. His last name is Peterson. His daddy is from Grand Island. His name is Jack. And I have said in the past that if Jack does not go home to California, that will be fine. If he defects to Nebraska while they're at Memorial Stadium, good by me. I'm good with that. Jackie's a big old athlete. He's a talented kid. Doesn't get to play much for them. They got a lot of tight ends, but I think he'd fit in just nice in the scarlet and cream. So anyway, open up his favorite. I would love to say that I'm going to be sitting there looking at this saying, hey, we gotta, I said last week, good teams win, great teams cover. I was hoping for the cover against Nebraska. It was one of the few times that I did wager on Nebraska. I don't know why I did. It's kind of a knee-jerk thing right before the game's getting ready to go. I was like, you know what, screw it. I believe in him. If I lose $100, I lose $100. And honestly, felt pretty good about it the majority of the day. Like I never thought it was in doubt. So good for me. High five to me. But when you go out, I don't care much anymore about covers. I just care about wins. I don't care if it's an ugly win. I don't care if it's a blowout win. I don't care if it's a pretty win. You're just searching for wins now. Okay. You can't feel yourself and say, oh man, moral victory to Ohio State. We only lost by 4. We showed old mean Vegas that had us a 24-point dog. It's all internal now. And if we took a step back against Indiana, took a step forward against Ohio State, make the game where you're just trying to be the best version of you. Okay. Don't care what the opponent is. Don't care what they do. Just don't care. It's a Division I football player you're playing against. You don't have to fear him, but you have to respect him. Okay. So as I'm playing this game, I have to know all I got to do is go out and be the best version of me. That's it. And if all 120 of us go out and we're the best version of ourselves, we're going to be just fine. We'll exercise the demon from Wisconsin. We'll exercise the demon from Iowa. We'll go out to Southern California and we'll shock the world. All those things are there to do. But if you get caught up in the, man, we're back, we got this, no. It's you honestly looking at what your film says and what do you do to get to be the best version of you that in turn then leads to the best version of the team. I guarantee you those receivers don't think they were the best version of themselves blocking. There's an embarrassment to it. So they had size advantage. They really did. They had size advantage on some of those corners. They didn't have effort advantage. Like they just got outworked. Ohio State kid said, you will not beat me. My best is better than your best. Nebraska kid didn't answer the challenge and had ample opportunity too, as we all got to watch and see over and over again. Had ample opportunity to prove, hey, I'm that was a fluke. I can beat you on the next one. Okay. And they got it again and they didn't. And they got it again and they didn't. And so it's just one of those things that it just is what it is. It didn't happen. Laura says, do you believe it's coaching or player want in winning? Some former players believe it's more player want to. Coached for quite a while, and I still have yet to come up with a drill, suggest to play. I don't call plays. I don't like to call plays. I've never wanted to call plays. Shout out to my guy Aaron Schmidt, who was the quarterback of the JV in Malcolm, and he made my job easy because I would just tell him, like, he came over to the side, I'm like, run whatever you want. Just make sure it works. And we had a receiver that was really good, and he could throw it really good, and they threw it a lot. I was fine with that because they caught it, and we ran up and down the field. Then once they moved safety, then I was like, you better run it here. And he got smarter, and he did. So it was great. That was my play calling extent. I don't like calling plays. I like watching the play, designing plays, and then seeing them executed. But no coach has ever called one to run a drill or anything that says, man, this play is going to suck. I really designed a shitty one right there. That one, no chance that's going to work. I do think in assessing the skills of the team, I do think we overestimate some things. Henceforth, the wide receiver screens. Like I said, 1 doesn't work. Okay, we'll try it again later. 2 doesn't work. Probably got to scrap that play. Probably just got to leave that one. You saw them do it in the offense running the ball. They ran a couple plays that just didn't work. It was, we can't beat you. Part of play calling is, see, I don't think I think now, I don't think an offensive coordinator should have a position to coach. And I know that's blasphemous because you got to get the efficiency out of your staff, but you got analysts and you got so many goddamn people up there. Trust me, you can find somebody to work that position out for you. But I would say, hey, I'm gonna survey everybody's position, everybody's group work, and see it. And if I have a question, say, hey, Big D, I don't know. I want to see you guys how you rep this or how you practice this, right? So that I can watch it, I can see it. I'm like, okay, maybe this doesn't fit my guy's skill sets. We're gonna back down on that. But you know what? They're really goddamn good at this one. Let's come up with some different varieties of this instead of trying to make that one fit. Calling plays to your player's strengths instead of calling them to it. Hey, 23-year-old coach guy, let me see how you're working this perimeter blocking drill. Okay, well, we're working it, and oh shit, we're getting our ass kicked by the backup receiver. Probably just gonna put that one away. I've seen him; it doesn't work. Hey, tight end coach, let me see your releases here. How are you guys working these like little play action passes we got? Boom, here we go. Okay, I got 1 6'8" guy and 1 6'5" guy. I'm just going to start sliding these guys into just holes because my quarterback is pretty slick with it. Now I just, any kind of zone read, play action, pop pass, I got it to a big tight end or a big interior receiver. Now we can take advantage of that. Maybe they do it. I don't know. But assessing the talents of your players is a much higher priority than thinking a play is going to work. You call to the skill set of what you have. Walter says calling for range setter, which means run the effing ball set. You jackass. Hey, that would be a fun experiment. That would be a fun thing to do. You guys remember they used to have the game? Maybe they still do. I haven't been to a bar besides here in a long time, but it had the little square box and it had the plastic thing over the top and it said run, pass. Then you could expand out, deep pass, da-da-da-da-da-da. You just picked, and like literally everybody in the country was playing the same game so you could see if you were right or wrong. That'd be sweet. That would be app people. If we have any people that build apps, just call it OC, and then you follow along in the game and play by play. This is a winner. We are going, as a group, all of us that are listening right now, we are going to be billionaires. Just make an app that will mirror the game of my choice, and I can sit there and I can pick run or pass. And if I'm right or wrong, then I can just groom myself to be an offensive coordinator. There you go. That was a free one for you. Welcome. Well, I'm not there. I hope you make it to the billionaire club. John says the players can be the best version of themselves whenever they want. When you have, all right, I get it. Nobody likes that. I understand. We're gonna have to deal with it for the rest of the year. Okay, so I get it. Let's hate the refs. Let's just progress on and hate the referees. They were not good. They were not good in the game. Let's just all funnel all of our hate to the refs. Let's just start writing letters send emails to the Big Ten. Your officials suck. Let's do that. Let's just focus that, because for 4 more games, he's still going to be our guy. He ain't changing nobody. We don't have to like it. It is what it is. That's who's going to be calling plays. So we could channel our hate to a different direction, because I just start reading these things and then I'm like, God damn it, there's another one about that. Okay. John says we need you to call plays for Nebraska for the last 4 games. If that isn't how you do it, it'll be 100% improvement. I think it's just evolution, right? And some people are stubborn. Man, if you can just like, if I'm the head man now, and we're just playing role play now. If I'm the head man, I'm gonna say, hey, Sat, this first 3 series of the second half, chef's kiss, perfect. Look how excited those guys are. That's just me and you watch this. Nobody else, no other coaches, just me and you. Look at them. Look at how hyped they are. We're just calling basic stuff. Ain't nothing fancy about this. There's no motion guys moving around. There's no shifting shit. We're just going yonder, straight ahead. Let's stick with this. This is what we can be. I'm telling these people we're going to be physical, run the football team, and then we're doing it, and it's working, and then we move away from it. Here's what you can do off of it now. Okay, once we get this established, you can play action pass. Perfect. Because that safety's going to have to come up, just like our safeties always fly up. And now we just get a little skinny post and hit Barney, the fast guy, or Nair, the tall guy, or Carter Nelson, the young guy, or Thomas Fedoni, the good hands, good catch guy. Oh, this is our offense. This is Nebraska football now. What do you think we are? Let's do this. You got to sit down and see it, because sometimes, or senior leadership, captains, those guys, offensive line, roll in and say, hey, dog, when you did this in the first half, we got you. Thank you. Thank you for calling it this way. Thank you for trusting us to do that. Now, if you just keep trusting us, I think we could walk that thing again. You got to trust us. If you don't, tell us what we got to do to show you can trust us. But those discussions, and it's crazy to me too, as how the flow of information with coaches and players is now. Like in the 90s, is you until you're like a junior, a really good junior or a senior, you had very little suggestion. There was no suggestion box. But the relay of information from position coach to OC, hey, we can do this all day. Yeah, we're not very good at that one. We'll use that one sparingly. But now the kid does it. He'll be like, hey, man, I can do this. And they have the coach's ear, which is crazy to me, just because I'm old. But it's those would be things as a staff, and I would address as we go into that. Laura says again, do you believe this team is coach led or locker room led? Laura, you're smart. You're smart. I think in Indiana, I think the players were waiting for the coaches to lead. I think at the Ohio State game, I think it was the transition of power to player led. It's been something that's troubled Nebraska for a while. Previous regimes have had the mindset of my playbook and my play calling is so good. It's so damn good. My brain is so huge. Doesn't matter who's out there playing. I'm gonna game plan this thing. So then the player gets in the mindset of, okay, I don't have to be this guy. He's going to take care of all of it. His huge brain and his plays, that's what's going to work. And then to keep it in the same thing defensively, that regime, it's like, hey, what would you like to see us do? Would you like to see us? Don't care. We're going to score 60. You can just give up 59. And so then they think that way. And then when you're trying to transition out of it, and you're like, hey, guys, I'm the head coach. I'm the new head coach here. You guys got to take the reins. This is your team. I'm your coach, but this is your team. I'm only here to guide you. I'm here to guide you and get you in the right direction. You got to take ownership of this thing. No, that's not what the guy before I said. You guys do all this stuff. When your coaches have to be your rah-rah guys, it'll never work. It will never work. You saw them kind of take over in that game. You really did. Those little subtle things. And it's okay right now for Nebraska. It doesn't have to be an old guy. It doesn't have to be an old guy that's leader. Those young guys can lead. They can go in and they can be loud and they can be boisterous and they can do whatever they need to. But yes, Laura, I think that is finally moving over to a player-led organization, which is a great thing. Identity can be a powerful weapon. For some odd reason, we don't have one. That's true. But a lot of that is, okay, I think half of your team doesn't have an identity, or a third of your team doesn't have an identity. But I think the defense has an identity after a hiccup the week before. And maybe White intimated at it that he did too much. He was trying to get too much accomplished in one setting. Overwhelmed everybody a little bit. Got him thinking a little bit too much instead of just read, react, and go. Yeah. I get that. But now it was the internet just has too much information. Ken says that the thing about the refs is that they keep making shitty calls without anything happening to them. How is it they can see NU 84? I get a setup for a full count. Oh, see number 84. Nebraska number 84 not get set for a full count. But they can't see Ohio State 65 holding on every play. It's fair. Fair questions. I would reach out to the Big Ten and see what they say. Harry says, are we holding back plays? We tossed it down the field more last year. We were told we finally have guys who can take the top off the defense. Maybe their focus is now just beating Iowa and are conserving those plays. I think not divulging your full playbook is a luxury for a Nebraska team down the road. I don't think we have that ability right now to be like, oh, we're holding a couple back for you SOBs. Because I'm gonna win now. I'm gonna deal with tomorrow later. I'm gonna if I got 30 or so I want to draw from, I'm emptying the gun. I'm gonna eat. Oh, it's like plays to me are like timeouts. Nah, that's a bad analogy because I can take them home with me, but I'm like, hey, I want to see how you react to this. Couldn't help but notice you guys like to do this to other people. Sorry, I smacked the microphone there. You guys like to do this to other people. We're going to do it to you. I hope they're not. I could see it, but I hope not. Walter says that Sat was stripped of his play calling duties in South Carolina. Yeah, that's South Carolina. Walter also says Rule hired his buddy, his special teams coach Ed Foley, who also struggles at his job. I edited that one, Walter. If you look at coaching, very rarely is there not a connection to a head coach. We hear the stories of how it goes. Why, hey, you hired this guy. How come? Well, I ran into him here and we coached here together and da-da-da. You also, though, if we're going to stay in that camp, Walter, before the season started, like a week before the season started, he did fire a guy who everybody thought was untouchable. As far as the hierarchy goes, the one thing that was common was that I had heard from people was this coach will never be removed. Wherever Rule goes, he will go. Fact. So he'll make the difficult decision. Just you can't do it now. You're looking, look across college football, pro football. You wonder how you get in pro football? Have a buddy there. Have one of your buddy's uncles who's in a power position in the NFL. You'll stay in the NFL forever. They recycle coaches left and right. They always have somebody. We have a little bit of a lax time policy on Sunday here at Pisons. We have a 5-minute end of the week. Show up on time. But yeah, so that's kind of, I know what everybody's saying. I know everybody's pissed off about it. I don't think you're getting a brother-in-law. I don't think you're getting a brother-in-law set up. I think you're gonna have change at the end of the year. Ken, I don't care what Verge said. We aren't hating the refs. We're hating God damn it. I gotta stop reading John stuff. Larry says, watched a lot of the game yesterday. Other OCs were creative and used various players for their strengths. Just pisses me off after rewatching the game. I agree. And it translates into running back too. Dowdell, downhill. Dowdell, downhill. Would have loved to see some more Emmett in there. Would have loved to. I think he only had 3. Oh, he had eight carries for 30 yards. Never really got kind of warmed up in there, in my opinion. I think it's amazing talent. Hopefully Ramirez okay. I know he went through the concussion protocol, so hopefully that all has cleared up. As I look forward to UCLA, if you get that defensive performance against UCLA, I don't have a lot to worry about. My source with the Bruins has told me that, it's kind of evolved for them. It's like at the beginning of the season, like, hey, we're pretty shitty. And then in the middle of the season, like, hey, we're a little bit better. And now, at this point in time, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, if you play defense like that and you eliminate selfish, you eliminate peeking in the backfield, you eliminate not knowing your responsibility as the end man on the line of scrimmage is that you have to control the widest player, who in that instance was the quarterback, who then ran around where you were for 15 yards because you wanted to bail inside and go help make a tackle that isn't your tackle to make. If you play fundamentally sound football against UCLA, you're good. You have no issues anywhere. Defensively. Offensively, with the quarterback now running the ball, probe the defense. Because now you've got everybody. I thought the times Dylan ran were perfect. Were they fast? Fast enough. Or are we looking, do we think we have Lamar Jackson in the open field? No. But that's okay. He got done what needed to get done, and he made the right reads in him. And I think he had a goddamn blast doing it too. Big smile on his face after he did it. Right? It's awesome. If you get that version of the offense where all 11 are playing, we probably, let's just thought, put the bubble screen on hold. Just put that on hold. Maybe don't run that again until IO. Maybe just break that out at the end of the year. We've worked this thing for 4 weeks. We haven't run it a game, but we're good. We're just going to do that. As far as using assets, I don't mind packages that involve Harburg. But for those that call for a lot of them, you saw what happened. Ohio State said, oh, the guy that you don't want to throw it is in the game. I wonder what you're going to do with him. They not only had one guy for the quarterback, they had 2 guys for the quarterback and 1 guy for the pitch man in that setup. So I get it. We want a running threat. Mike brings up a good point. I think they saved him from running until we needed it. We needed it most. Maybe. But I also, it's hard. It's hard to do things like that because you're telling other guys that the pounding you're going to take is less important than the pounding he was going to take. Or you better be damn good. You better be damn good at relaying that message. Because I think what Dylan's really good at, and he did it a couple times in the game, when he gets out, he feels people coming, he just gets down. He slides. He tried to bait one of their guys into a late hit. I didn't like that. Because if that guy does get that hit and he hits you and your head bounces off the turf, it's not going to go well. But I can get down with that, Mikey. I can see what you're saying. I get it. But it puts the team at a disadvantage when you do it. So if you did it and you conveyed that message to the team, sure. But man, that offense, it moves pretty good because now everybody's got to stay sound and nobody can cheat anything, and you got to be in the right spot. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to let this live run, and Walter and John, you guys can just go back and forth. You can go back and forth in the chat, continuing to bash the coordinator. But yes, I think if Nebraska goes out and plays that style of football in Memorial Stadium, I think too, getting home is going to be good for them. Crowd's going to be hyped. Crowd will be ready to go. I don't know the kickoff time if they've set that out yet, but hopefully, get a good 2:30 kickoff. Everybody a little parking lot party going and be ready. Be loud and be annoying and all those fun things. If you find 5 to 6 pet running plays that you can just against it, but you viewed them. Dowdell downhill. Emmett's more of your cut guy. You want to run some zone with Emmett where he can 3-step read. 1, 2, he makes a cut on the 3rd step. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. If you want to get it where it's nasty and downhill and you give it to Dowdell and that, great. And then when Emmett's in and you give a little zone read across. And I'm not even against, here you go. I'll get you a different version of that little screen they want to run. Okay. I'm probably going to eliminate a blocker. Zone read across. Rayola, reading, Smith, going. Defensive end gives you a run read. Okay, so now Rayola is running the ball. The corner or the outside backer, if I've got 2 receivers, is going to have to come to me. Dylan can throw off of many platforms, meaning he can throw up here, he can throw down here, he can throw wherever So, thank you, Indiana, for your wonderful play design that everybody thinks is so revolutionary. T.O. was running it in the 90s. But now, outside backer, you think I'm going to run this and get my little 5 yards and you want to come up with me? Boop. Carter Nelson. Boop. Barney. Boop. Banks. Boop. Nair. Now I've got a run-based offense because the ball fake across is always going to be what draws it. So now my triple option, instead of running at the defender, pick one because you're going to be wrong. Instead of that pitch going backwards, now that pitch is going forwards. Because if they have to vacate, somebody's going to be open. And then, just to keep football nerding you guys, if they stay on coverage and that safety vacates to come get me, even better. Because I tell that receiver or the 2 receivers I want to throw to, if your guy stays on you and that safety is the one coming to me, you're going to have a little double read on this, bud. Meaning, if I just run straight and my guy leaves me because the quarterback is now heading toward him with nobody to tackle him, just stop. We're going to throw you the ball right there. If that guy runs with you and that safety then has vacated, then you just turn it into a post. And guess what? I'm going to flip it back this way. And now you got nobody in the middle of the field and you're good. So now I just have a throwing the ball, triple option offense. Easy. Coming from a guy who's making pizza and gets to watch the game, but loves the game and loves you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining in with me today. Hey, there's no moral victories, but there are positives. This is the Nebraska I see us having for the rest of the year. That's the way they play. If they play to that standard, then I think you win. I think you win 3 of the last ones. I don't know. I really do. But if you play that style of football, you have 3 wins there that you can get. If you believe in what you're doing and you don't doubt, and you don't get selfish and you do what you're supposed to do every play. And I know I picked on a defender or some defenders in this. There's linemen that are doing the same thing. Hopefully I'm going to give them a week reprieve because I've seen this from the defensive guy for a couple weeks now. If the linemen do it again next week, we'll bust them out next week on Husker Hangover as well. But thank you guys, as always, for joining me. I love talking to you. It's very therapeutic. I hope you have a great time or as much fun as I do. I look forward to seeing you next week after we whoop UCLA's ass and Jack Peterson defects to Nebraska and just doesn't go back to California to finish the semester. We can hope. We really can, folks. But have a great day. Love you guys. Enjoy your Sunday.